But the important thing we're doing here today is celebrating our athletes. These are men and women that refuse to allow themselves to be defined by their worst day, but define themselves by their reaction to that day and the resilience and the perseverance and the dedication and the camaraderie and the family. You are going to witness this week a tenacious competition, but you're also going to witness this week camaraderie and family like you've never seen it before. They are all competitors, but they are all now family, and they support each other and they cheer each other on, and that's what you guys are here for, and I'm so glad you're here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sergeant First Class Brant Ireland will now pass off the torch to General Clark and Tampa Mayor Jane Castor to light the cauldron. Titus O'Neil also on hand. The 2019 Warrior Games officially have begun.
The most important aspect of the game is that it shows how sport can restore people and not let their injuries define them. So most people that come in the military played sports before they did so. It's kind of a natural fit. And so when they have something happen to them and it changes the way that they are able to use their body, they find a new pathway and they find new vitality, and the competitive juices are still flowing, so it's restorative to be able to play sports. And so we say that we don't want to be defined by our worst day, which is the day that whenever the injury happened to us, but we can go beyond it, and we're using sport as a mechanism to do so.
Back in 2014 when I lost my arm, I sort of got a little depressed. I was a big sports guy growing up, and I always had that competition in my life. So when I lost my arm, I thought it was over. And then Air Force Wounded Warrior picked me up and introduced me to adaptive sports in 2015. And ever since then, I gained more competitive spirit, met a lot of new friends, and it just brought that level of competition back in my life.
Well, we've all gone through very similar sort of circumstances. I was embedded with an American team over in Afghanistan, so I worked with them quite closely. So I've got a very good understanding of how the American military works and how some of the other international forces work as well, because through my overseas deployments and services, that's sort of Like I know how these guys work and they know how we work. And there's a mutual understanding, mutual trust and respect for each other. And that's that gets taken onto the court. While we're playing the game, it's all out the window, and then we finish the game and we're back into it. We're all mates at the end, mates at the start, mates at the end. So it's an understanding of we all know what each other's gone through. We've all got our own battles, and we're here supporting each other, suppressing those battles, pushing ourselves in new directions, and giving ourselves a new chapter in our book. So my previous military thing, I closed that chapter off in the book, and now I'm in a new chapter in my life moving forward. So I've closed that off, moving forward, and it just helps me in a positive way.
Well, we had, when it was our turn in the rotation, because there are 5 Warrior Care programs that are recognized by both Congress and the Department of Defense, the 4 traditional services, as everybody knows them, and Special Operations. And Special Operations Command actually is the largest Warrior Care program, as Special Ops has borne a significant burden in the last 18 years of war. So when we had the opportunity to bring the games here, it was our rotation. 2017 is when that decision was made in preparation for 2019. You always do it a couple years out. We knew, our commander discussed it with me, we knew we were bringing it to the right place. We knew we wanted to get the public more in touch with the games. We tried that in Chicago. Chicago is such a big place that it was kind of lost in the clutter. Didn't mean the people didn't care, just meant that it was so much going on, it was hard to draw the public in. We knew this community and this area incredibly supportive of the veteran, of the active duty service member and of their families, and in particular wounded warriors, that this was the right setting to do so. We also wanted to have a format that was more of a co-hosting, a community host with the military host, to try to drive the public into it, for them to be able to see and support these athletes and their families and have a perspective of what they're going through, because they're exemplars of so many more. In this Special Operations program, we have 15,000 wounded, ill, and injured. Our Team SOCOM out here is 40. So they are exemplars, they're standard bearers for a whole lot more wounded, ill, and injured that our communities need to support, because not everything's done in the DoD, not everything can be done by the VA. We have to, within the fabric of our nation, continue to support these people.
I think the amazing thing about these games, especially Warrior Games over any other of these sporting events that are around, is that we really support our brothers and sisters to be able to work around their injuries. I've seen people with one eye doing amazingly. I've seen people with no arms manage to shoot a bow and arrow and just do a fantastic job. This is not about getting to the top of your game. It's about finding a way to adapt and overcome those injuries or those challenges that you've had, and the support to do that is absolutely amazing. So get out and get involved.
Yeah, the healing process is not easy, I can tell you that. It's a long road. The adaptive sports here at Air Force Wounded Warrior, it's just been, they grabbed me by the shoulders and pulled me out of that deep, dark hole of depression or anxiety or PTSD, and they brought me here, and I've been 100% ever since. I've had a smile on my face. Yeah, the dark thoughts come back into my head, but then I got sports to think about, air rifle, stuff like that. So it keeps my thoughts off the negative and into the positive.
The fact is that if there's one thing where we can all agree is that the people that have worn the cloth of their nation and gone into harm's way on our behalf deserve our support. Come out and see them, but even more so, come out and meet them and get to know them, and get to know the family members that have had to bear these crises, spouses and children that have had whole changes in their relationships with their service member and in their lifestyle, where a spouse has had to give up a career because now they're a primary caregiver to a very severely injured, wounded warrior. That's the kind of thing that people ought to see and experience and appreciate, and then look for ways to support them. We wanted to set a community model, which we've done. We did so in a very economical way, so we've produced the most affordable games in Warrior game history, which helps the Department of Defense feel better about sustaining it, because obviously cost is always a factor. So that's one piece of it. The public involvement in this game and the fact that the spectating by the public's been the highest we've ever seen is another indicator. That's the success we've had, is that we've pulled the public in ways that we never have before, and that we've been able to do it in a format that will allow the Department of Defense to keep it going.